All right. Now I'm going to solve the same problem using a different method called the Gauss-Jordan elimination method. Now the Gauss-Jordan elimination method is a little strange when you see it because it's going to start using a matrix in order to solve the problem. And we will see how that works here in a few moments. First thing I'm going to do, however, is I'm going to sit down and my variables. Now I'm going to use different variables in this particular solution because it's a whole lot easier to use different variables with this particular method than the u, the h, and the z. So I'm going to say A is equal to unicorns, B is equal to zebras, and C is equal to horses. Then I'm going to rewrite my equations just like I did before. I have A plus the zebras are B, plus A is equal to 30. And then the next one I have C plus A plus C is equal to 14. And for the next one, I have B plus 2B plus 2C is equal to 62. And in that last one, I have 2A times 2B times 2C is equal to something. Now, is that last one, just like in that last one, I ignored this last problem, and I'm going to ignore it again this time. I'm just going to concentrate on these three so I can find out what these variables are. So the first thing I'm going to do is the same thing I did before. I'm going to simplify these equations. The first one is going to be 2a plus b is equal to 30. And this is going to be 2c plus a is equal to 14. Let me close off my 0 there. And this one's going to be 3b plus 2c is equal to 62. Now, in my last video, when I did the substitution method, what I did was I subtracted the 2a from both sides, leaving a b. I subtracted 2c from both sides, leaving just the a. And I started substituting those in there. Well, with this particular method, we're not going to do that. We're going to try to tackle all of the equations at the same time. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that all variables are taken into consideration, all a, b, and c. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite each one of these equations, and every time there is a variable that isn't accounted for, I'm going to simply add it in there but multiply it by 0. So for example, this one is going to turn out to be something like this. And I'm going to put A, B, and C above it so we can see that, make sure that all of them are accounted for. I have 2A plus B plus 0C is equal to 30. This one, I'm going to switch things around. I have 1A. Let me go ahead and just add a 1 up here. I have no B's, so that's going to be 0B plus 2C's is equal to 14. And then this last one, I have no A's, so it's a 0A plus 3B's plus 2 C's is equal to 62. Now what we're going to do is, now that we have all of the equations set out to where all of the variables are taken into consideration, as I said, every time there wasn't one that variable in one of these equations, I simply multiplied it by 0 because it comes out, anything times 0 comes out to be 0. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the numbers in front of the variables and the answers and put them in what's called a matrix form. So the matrix form of this particular equation is going to look something like this. I put my matrix bracket, 2, 1, 0, then I'm going to draw a straight line and put 30. The next one's going to be 1, 0, 2, 14. And the next one's going to be 0, 3, 2, and 62. You'll notice that every one of these is set up exactly like this. This is the A column, this is the B column, and this is the C column, and this is the answer column. So what we're trying to do is we're going to be working with this matrix to get it to look something like this. What we want is a matrix that looks exactly like this. For A, 1, 0, 0. For B, 0, 1, 0. For C, 0, 0, 1. And then we want the answer. So we want a 1 in all of them, showing us what these variables stand for. And if we do this right, then what's going to happen is the answers for these variables will come up over here. The way we do this is we start to multiply, divide, and subtract the numbers within this matrix to get it to this particular point. We can move these around as much as we want to. We can add one to the other as much as we want to. We can substitute answers in there as long as it's going to get us to this form. So let me rewrite this matrix and we'll get started and you'll see how this works. Now I'm going to leave out the little line in between there because it's not necessarily necessary. So we have 2, 1, 0, 30, 2, 1, 0, 30, 1, 0, 2, 1, 0, 2, 14, and that last one is 0, 3, 2, 62. 0, 3, 2, 62. First thing we're going to notice in this particular matrix, in order to get it to look like this, we want a 1 at the top. Well, I'm going to look down this particular column, the A column, and see if there's a 1 already there. And there is. There's a 1 right here in this row. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this row and this row and flip them. So the new matrix is going to look like this. 1, 0, 2, 14. 2, 1, 0, 30. And then 0, 3, 2, 62. Okay. So you go back up and we look at what we're looking for, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0. Well, we can see that we're almost there. We have a 1, a 2, and a 0. So now what we do is we start multiplying and adding rows to each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this second row, and I'm going to call it row 2, and I'm going to add this row. But instead of just adding this row, I'm going to multiply that top row by -2, row 1. And what that's going to give me is my new row 2. So let's see how this is going to work. I'm going to multiply this top row by -2. -2 times 1 is -2. -2 times 0 is 0. -2 times 2 is -4. And -2 times 14 is going to be -28. And then I have this bottom row, this second row here. This is 2, 1, 0, 30. So now I'm just going to add. Well, -2 plus 2 is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. -4 plus 0 is -4. And -28 plus 30 is 2. This is going to become my new row 2. So I'm going to rewrite this matrix. I'm going to keep the same top row, 1, 0, 2, 14. But now I'm going to change this right here in with this. So instead of the 2, 1, 0, 30, I'm going to go 0, 1, -4, 2. Then I'm going to keep the same third row, 0, 3, 2, 62. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply. If you'll notice, I've already got this first column done. I have 1, 0, 0, which is, if we go back to the top, is exactly what I'm looking for. 1, 0, 0. So this row is done. Now I want to look at this second column. I have a 0 here, a 1 here, and a 3 there. So I'm going to go back up here, and what I want is I want a 1 in the middle with zeros on either side. Well, I have a 0 here, but I have a 3 here. So I need to get rid of this 3. Easiest way to do that is multiply that middle row by -3. So I'm going to have row 3 plus row 2 times -3. And that's going to give me my new row 3. So let's do that. I have 3 times 0 is 0. Let's do row 3 first. So row 3 is 0, 3, 2, 62. And then do we multiply the -3 times row 2? That's going to be 0, -3, 12, and -6. Well, this is 0. That becomes 0. This becomes 14. And this becomes 56. So this becomes my new row 3. So if I rewrite my matrix, I have 1, 0, 2. Yeah, let me get these set up right. 1, 0, 2, 14. 0, 1, -4, 2. And then this new row 3, 0, 0, 14, and 56. And that should be a 2, 56. If we go back up here to look at the one what we're trying to get, we'll see that we have 1 with a bunch of zeros, then we have a 1 surrounded by zeros, then we have 0, 0, 1 is what we're looking for. And we can see that we're almost there. We have in the first column 1, 0, 0. Second column we have 0, 1, 0. And then we have this third column that we're having to deal with. Now the first thing I notice is that 14 and 56 are both divisible by 14. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide that by 1 over 14. 0 divided by 1 over 14 is going to be 0. So let me go ahead and just redo my matrix here. 1, 0, 2, 14. 0, 1, negative 4, and then 2. Then I'm going to divide this row by 1 over 14. So 1 over 14 times 0 is 0. 1 over 14 times 0 is 0. 14 divided by 14 is 1. And then 56 divided by 14 is 4. And we are almost done. Now we can finish this two different ways. If you notice, I already know what my variable c that we put way up here, my variable c is going to be 4. But let's go ahead and finish off the rest of this. What we could do is we could go back and we could redo our equations and say, well, a plus there's no b, 2c is equal to 14. And then I can say there's no a, but there's a b minus 4c is equal to 2. And then I could say c is equal to 4. And then I could put those back in there and find those out if I really wanted to. Now that's one way of doing that. But let's go ahead and finish off the matrix because it's a lot more fun that way. Let's complete it all down so we get all of our answers like we're looking for. So first thing I'm going to notice is I need these two zeroed out. First thing I'm going to zero out is this one. And in order to zero that out, I'm going to multiply the bottom row by positive 4 because I want this negative 4 to be 0. I'll multiply everything by positive 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have row 2 plus 4 times row 3 is going to give me my new row 2. So row 2, 0, 1, negative 4, 2, 0, 0, 4, 16. I add those together. 1, 0, 1, 0, 18. This gives me my new row 2. So if I redo my matrix, 1, 0, 2, 14, new row 2, 0, 1, 0, 18, and then my row 3, 0, 0, 1, 4. Now all I have to do is get rid of this 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply that last row by negative 2. So I'm going to have row 1 plus negative 2 times row 3 is going to give me my new row 1. So row 1 is 1, 0, it's a little bit too close, looks like 10. 1, 0, 2, 14, plus 0, 0, negative 2, negative 8. 1, 0, 0, 6. And this is my new row 1. So I get my matrix, put my last matrix down. It's going to be 1, 0, 0, 6. And then my row 2 is 1, I'm sorry, 0. Let me erase that real quick. 0, 1, 0, 18. And my last one is 0, 0, 1, 4. So if we put this in equation form, we would have A is equal to 6, B is equal to 18, and C is equal to 4. If we were to put those back into our original equation that we're looking for, 2A times 2B times 2C, we're going to get 3, 4, 5, 6.